So, episode 11, Nutrients and Additives. It's all about the good stuff now, Steve. All about the stuff that's going to enhance the vegetative stage and the flowering stage on your plant growth.
It is. It's weird the way everyone gets really excited about nutrients though. The people coming in the shop and buying additive this and additive that. You know what? The people get excited about nutrients and additives. Well, how come?
I don't know, why don't you tell them?
Well, I'll tell you why I get excited. It's because when I use root stim, I get really good root growth. When I use a bloom stim, I get really good blooms. It's just really a good way of the grower seeing a difference with his plants. So I also get really excited about nutrients and additives.
Not only that, it's because it's also the control of whoever's growing the plants. They've got the control of making your plants bigger, more fruitful.
I know what you mean. When you control environment, it's a slow change to the plants. You've got to wait days. But when you add a nutrient or an additive, the changes are pretty quick. Makes sense, doesn't it?
Okay. You know what though? I just wanted to say this. Still haven't found my car.
It's been a week.
Yeah, still haven't found my car. Somebody robbed my car last week. But you know what was mad? I know it's weird, it's not.
Yeah.
I went home in the Land Rover, right? And I looked in the back and there was a Did you put a humidifier in the back of the Land Rover?
No.
Weird. So let's go and have a look at all of the different nutrients and additives that accelerate the plant growth and can stimulate these lovely fruits and help you develop them into nice, spectacular flowers.
Fabulous. I think it sounds like a day behind the counter for us.
Let's go then.
Come on.
So we're behind the counter.
Yeah.
Nutrients and additives.
Yeah.
What is there to know about nutrients and additives?
Oh, there's so much, isn't there? There's that many bottles, that many different colours, what you do with them, how do you use them, are they all the same, do they actually do anything different, what are they for, and why do we use them? There's so many questions, Stephen. How are we going to possibly answer all of these questions in such short space of time?
Well, it's the basics, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just showcasing some of the products that we really like,
Yeah.
that we've used, showing some possible avenues for you to use down
Yeah.
the nutrient line. And to get into like how deep it is, they're all the same in the sense that salts, you can only use so many salts of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, your NPK. But then the salts can come from good sources or they can come from bad sources. So there is a big difference, but there's not much of a difference. And that's just like 0.1% of the nutrients and additives subject as well. So all we're going to do is we're going to go through a base range and some additives, your PKs, your boosters, and some silicas, and show you some of the things that you should be using or can be using.
So your base range, that's what every plant needs to grow.
Can I talk about my Sunday dinner? I know you're fed up to the back teeth, but yes.
Okay.
Base nutrients is your Sunday dinner. It's your meat, your potatoes and your veg.
Okay.
The additives, your mint sauce, your gravy and your mustards. So the base nutrients.
What are base nutrients?
So like we just said, your meat, your potatoes and your veg.
Okay.
But what base nutrients have you got?
Well, I've got some Dutch Pro, Cocoa A and B. 4-part.
4-part meaning we've got AB for grow, AB for bloom. Okay.
So we're going to use 2 bottles in the grow period.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're going to put 20 ml of each, or so to speak, all the way through the grow period, and then we're going to stop using those. And in the flowering period, we're going to then use these 2 bottles.
Okay. Good top tip for 4-part is that you're going to use grow A and B all the way through the veg cycle, 18 hours of light. Now, something that you can make this a little bit more advanced with is you can carry on using the grow in weeks 1 and 2 of flower. But what you'll do is you use 3/4 strength week 1 of flower of your grow, and you'll use 1/4 strength of the bloom. In week 2 of flower, you'll use half strength of the grow and the bloom, and then week 3 you're onto your flower, and that's a nice transition because the first 2 weeks of flower we're still growing, so it's still a good idea to use your grow.
And that also stops you from instantly stop using that product and moving straight on to the other.
Exactly.
Okay.
The difference is got a bit more nitrogen in the grow. Difference is you've got a bit more phosphorus and potassium in the bloom. It's a Dutch Pro's got a really good range, and this is a really nice way to fine-tune your nutrients with the different products in the bottle.
So that's one that we're going to mention. So let's get them away.
So that's for hydro, really, isn't it? We've got...
Do you also do that for soil?
They do, yeah.
Yeah,
They do an AB and bloom for soil.
Okay.
So I've got Buddha's Tree Cocoa A and B, a new contender to the market. It's only been recently released, but going by Buddha's Tree's standards of products, then the base nutrient for cocoa is going to be really good as well. And something that I wanted to pick out is that on the back, they've got guaranteed analysis, weight to volume percentage and weight to weight percentage. Now, there's a big thing in the industry where people used to use weight to volume percentage, and they moved without really telling anyone to weight, and NPK ratios changed. And I've just noticed actually this morning, Buddha's Tree have put weight to volume and weight to weight. So it's a nice way of showing the difference between the two different ways of measuring how much nutrients is in the bottle.
So what is all this weight to volume ratio stuff?
Well, it was a little bit complicated, wasn't it? So I'm going to just briefly touch on it. Weight to volume is the weight of the water. So a litre of water will weigh about 1 kilo, and then it's the volume of nutrients within that litre of water. So we all moved, or the industry's starting to move to weight, which is a litre of water will weigh 1 kilo, and then the weight of the nutrients added will add onto that. And it gives a much more accurate representation of what's actually inside the bottle. So if you've been confused about your NPKs changing, they haven't actually changed. It's just a different way of saying them, weight to volume or weight to weight. So check it on the back of the bottle.
Okay. So basically what you're talking about is how much nutrients is actually in the bottle.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
So with the Buddha's Tree Cocoa A and B, it's the same all the way through veg and all the way through flower. And some people might go, well, hang on, well, why are Buddha's Tree different from Dutch Pro? Why have Dutch Pro got an A and B for grow and an A and B for bloom? It's quite smart, actually. Well, in your cocoa, it loves to hold on to certain minerals, it loves to bind onto certain nutrients, and that's what we say when they've been rinsed and they're cleaned and they're buffered. The really good cocos tend to hold on to the nutrients less. So what a cocoa feed will do is it'll have more of the nutrients that the cocoa likes to hold on to, which won't be released to the plant. And once the cocoa is full of these nutrients, tending to get towards flowering stage, the nutrients that are in the bottle are given to the plant. So they're all wrapped up in the cocoa and veg when it doesn't need them, or they've adapted to it. And when they're in flower, it's freely available. They're released. So that's it in a very basic nutshell.
So is it fair to say that a lot of these different companies, they have different things going on within their base nutrients?
Yes. Yeah.
And as a grower, it's down to you to decide which one is best for you or your plants. There's no right or wrong, is there?
There isn't. And that's why so many nutrients are on the market. You can see behind us, we have Ionic, we have Mills, we have Vitalink, Canna, Dutch Pro, Buddha's Tree, Advanced, Hydrotops. We've got a range of nutrients, and it's not because we want to sell as many different nutrients as possible. It's because a different nutrient will work for you, whereas my nutrient that I use won't work for you.
Yeah.
And the nutrient you use might not work for me. It's finding out what's best for you.
And understanding it and homing in on that.
Exactly.
So what else have we got? Let's see.
You've got a one part over there I can spy with my little eye.
Okay. We have got Hydrotops, single part, solo. So we have one bottle for grow.
Yeah.
And we have one bottle for bloom, which is there. And we also have solo boost,
which we've put that in there on the base nutrients because it comes, that's basically all you need. This is for soil. It's a single part. You'll find that a lot of soil nutrients come as a single part because soil acts differently to cocoa. When Thomas in previous episode said soil has a brain, it's a very simple way of saying that soil acts differently to your innate cocoa. So we have to use different nutrients. If your soil has already got food in it, then it's all right, you've been given a plate with some food and you just need to top it up a little bit with the soil. But with cocoa, your plate's got nothing on it and you've got to add everything that you give to it continuously. Exactly.
What also is good about this, very simple. So for a beginner grower, there's not a lot of different bottles. There isn't 4 different bottles here and you've got to mix this and mix that. You just have one bottle for the grow period and one bottle for the flower period.
Yeah.
And you also have one booster bottle to help you along the way.
Nice.
Very simple. Recommended for beginner growers, novice growers.
Yeah, because soil also buffers ECs and pHs, so it's not something that you have to really worry about when you're in soil.
So as you move up your grow rankings, you can then look at 2-part nutrients, 3-part nutrients, or 4-part nutrients.
We've mentioned 3-part nutrients there. I'm on it.
Okay.
I've got my 3 parts.
Let me take these away.
General Hydroponics, Flora Micro, Flora Bloom, and Flora Grow. Now, what you'll see and what you'll find is that the people that like this nutrient are fiddlers. They like to fiddle.
Mess about.
Okay. But that's not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing. And the genius behind the 3-part is that you can really tweak this to what you want. Because there's 3 bottles, there's a lot of nitrogen in that one, bit more phosphorus and potassium in this one, and your trace minerals in the micro, and your vitamins as well. So what you can do, you want a bit more nitrogen, just add a bit more grow. You want to up your PK, you just add a bit more bloom. You want to give it a PK booster week 5, just add more of the bloom. And if you're feeling that they're a little bit deficient in any of the trace, just add a little bit more micro. But it's not something that I would really recommend for novice growers to start tinkering. This can be used for novice growers, just follow the instructions on the back.
Yeah.
But if you love to tinker and you think, this plant likes this and this plant likes a bit more of this, which plants do, this is a great range, because honestly, that is all you need to get a good result at the end from this 3-part.
All nutrients or base nutrients and all of these companies who make these have feed charts available. And what a feed chart is, it explains to you what their recommendations are for how much you should put into each mixture of water and how often you should water your plants, or i.e. how much nutrient you should give to your plant through each stage of its grow or flowering life. All of these feed charts are available from any of the companies. These should be available in the stores that are close to you. If they're on our webpage, www.mpktechnology.co.uk. But all of these, every nutrient and additive, have all of the information available on how to use them, and they all range and are all completely different.
And your base nutrients are going to have the biggest effect on your EC, your parts per million, your ppm. So that's why they should be added first, because it's going to have the biggest impact on EC. It's all well and good following a feed chart, and you do need to follow the feed chart, but you need to ensure yourself by using the EC stick.
Yeah.
And you give that to someone to look after. So I've got my combo meter there.
I haven't seen it anyway.
No, he's I don't know where he's gone, to be honest.
I haven't got a clue.
But anyway, that's enough about base nutrients.
Yeah.
So we've covered the base.
And now we're on root stimulators.
Yeah, because as you always say, bigger roots.
Bigger fruits.
Exactly, so it's important to give the plants what they need for root stimulation. What have you got?
I've got by CX Hydroponics Regeneroot.
Ooh.
Really good product.
It is.
We use this product all the way through.
That's what's really nice about it.
Yeah.
Rather than just stopping in the veg period and maybe the first 2 to 3 weeks in flower, this is all the way through, so you've got healthy roots all the way through.
10 mil to 10 litres of water.
So it's concentrated.
Milliliter. Really good product. It makes the roots really white and fluffy, rather than some of them you tend to see go a bit brown, or can do over the period anyway. Even though your plant can still be completely healthy, this really makes your roots go nice and fluffy.
It does.
Yeah.
And at £20 for a litre, that'll treat 1,000 litres. Probably one of my personal favourite root stims as well. I've got Dutch Pro's Take Root down.
Okay.
Now this is also 1 milliliter, but it's £30. It's got, whereas that's purely about the root stem, this has got other products in it as well.
Yeah.
So it's got trace elements. So you're getting a little bit more, I won't say bang for your buck, but you're getting a little, you're paying for a little bit more in the bottle.
So they've got a little bit of variance in that, haven't they? So it's down to the grower to think, which one should I use?
Exactly.
Is there a right or wrong answer?
There isn't, because if I'm truly honest, these are both great root stimulators, and unless you were doing grid references and weighing dry massive roots, you're probably not going to see a great amount of difference in between these two root stimulators. Just two very, very good root stimulator products. What is in a root stimulator though? So we have phosphorus, and phosphorus is great for root growth. But apart from that, you have trace elements, you have vitamins, minerals, which without getting too technical.
What
do
are
a lot-
tracer elements? So the little elements, aren't they, of what?
Exactly. So nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, your NPK,
Yeah, the main three.
they're your macro elements. Then you have your micro elements.
Okay, so
your
they're a little bit
calcium,
smaller.
A little bit smaller. Your micro
Okay.
is your calcium, your magnesium. And then your trace, things like your zinc, your molybdenum.
And are these even smaller
Even
again?
small, not small particles, you just need them in really
Little,
small amounts.
little amounts, okay.
The plant doesn't need a lot of them.
Okay,
So
cool.
when we're adding our root stimulators, they tend to have a lot of trace elements that are really good for root growth.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Yeah,
That's root stems.
root stems, okay. So, it's the PK additives section?
The peaky blinders.
No.
The PK blinders.
Your jokes are absolutely terrible, Steve.
Well, what PKs?
Yeah, PKs.
What have you
anyway,
got?
so we've got Explode.
No, don't put that out. What have I told you about slamming down Explode?
That wasn't a good idea. Why didn't you tell me about it before?
I thought you knew. Fix yourself.
I know I need to.
Whew.
All freshened up again now. Just be a little bit. I'll have to be a bit more careful with that now, won't I? This time.
Yeah.
Right. So we've got Explode.
What is it?
It's a PK booster.
Okay.
It's an additive. It's something that you add in to help you boost your plants, make them bigger, more fruitful, increase more flowers, more flowering sites. That's what this does.
Okay. So it's got PK and it's got your sugars in there as well.
Yeah. Yes,
That
it
help
has.
with plant growth. So with this PK, when do we start using it?
We start using this immediately in the flowering period.
So is that would you use it from week 1 of flower or from
Yeah.
week 3?
I'd use it from week 1 of flower.
At what dose? Would you go in at a small dose or high dose?
Yeah, preferably start off small, increase it midway into the flowering period, and then wean your way off as you come towards the end of the cycle.
Okay. PK is really interesting, phosphorus and potassium. It's
Yeah.
the other side of NPK.
Yeah.
Because when the reason that we use a lot of phosphorus and potassium is that they're really crucial, as well as a lot of other things. It's not just about bud and flower formation. It's about rigidity as well and steadiness. So when we say it makes the flowers denser, makes the tomatoes swell, this is what they're doing because it's interacted within the cells. So the important thing is PK's got a really important job, but don't get carried away with it. Don't be thinking 1 milliliter of Dutch Bro Explode's really good, so 2 milliliter must be much better.
Yeah.
It's not. It's going to have a detrimental effect. You're going to overdose your plants and you're going to go backwards rather than forwards.
Be careful. Don't overdose on things. Use them with caution. Assess what you're doing. Monitor what you're doing. Your plant will talk to you. It will tell you if it's happy or not by the way it appears to you on a day-to-day basis. So that's one. That's Explode. Okay.
I really like Explode as well because it's an all-in-one. You can literally just use a base nutrient to get you through the veg and an Explode with your base nutrients in the flower.
What have you got?
And you're going to get a really good response. What have I got?
Yeah.
Well, I've got the Buddha's Tree 918. Now, this is a really good story about Buddha's Trees 918. First of all, the product works 100%. It's concentrated, so you don't use a lot of it. And it's cheap as well, £30 for a 250ml bottle. But the important thing about this is this was made by growers. So they were using their product, another PK918 that went off the market, and it worked, it was good. So what they did is they brought their PK ratio of 918, added some fancy bits to it to make it different, and just the growers, it just speaks for itself. Buddha's Tree don't do a huge amount of marketing, they just let the growers do the talking, and we've had it in the shop for a long time. And if you haven't used it and you're not too impressed with your PK, it's definitely worth giving it a go.
Okay.
It works really well with something that you've got over there as well.
Okay. Well, I've got a Tommy's Bloombastic. Yeah.
So this works well. Now,
This
what
is
we're not promoting,
a PK 14-15.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now what we're not promoting is to use them at the same time.
Nope.
But what we are saying is that a lot of growers are coming in and they're going to be using flower-based in the first 2 weeks of flower to produce more flowering sites. Then they've moved on to Bloombastic through weeks 3 to 6.
Yeah.
And for the last 2 weeks, they've been using 918. And what they're saying is that those ratios through flowering give them good results. Now, it's not going to be good for everybody, but
I personally haven't used that ratio.
but I've heard 3 or 4 different people came in within 1 week after they must have read it somewhere. All different types of growers, DWC, soil, cocoa, and they were like, that recipe works. So if you're looking to mix up your PKs, give that recipe a go. I'm hearing really good things about it.
Just be careful that you don't overload on PK.
Exactly. Be checking that EC always be on the ball, and more importantly than anything, watch your plants, because they're going to tell you.
Okay. So little critters, microbes, one of your favourite things, isn't it?
Recently become one of my favourite things.
Where do these come into it?
So these come in, really, they come into their own when you're growing organically, because you need the microbes to be able to grow organically. It's not about the products, it's about the microbes, 100%.
Can you use them when you're growing with chemical nutrients as well?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
But you've got to be aware, I'd say the vast majority, 90% of microbes are going to suffer when you take the EC over 1.5.
Okay.
And there's couple of new products that have come out that have been specially selected so that they can be used with higher ECs, and we'll look at them in a little minute.
Okay, so what have you got for us?
Do you want to look at my ones?
Yeah.
So, I've got Azos
Yeah.
by Extreme Gardening.
Okay.
I've got the Tea Brew. I've got Mycos as well.
Okay.
So the Azos is a nitrogen fixing bacteria, really good for veg growth, really good for cloning, and to be honest, everyone can be using this because there's nothing that it interacts with negatively or positively. It's just great to add it in. You saw us on the transplanting and potting up that we use this bacteria, and I've been testing it for a few months now, and I can just instantly can see the difference. So I'm really, really happy with this product. Mycos, mycorrhiza, you sprinkle this in at the same time as transplanting and potting up, which you saw in previous episodes. And I'd just like to say big shout out to these guys because Extreme Gardening do great things. They're really passionate about microbes and mycorrhiza. They're my good products. The Tea Brew, I haven't done a lot with tea brews, but we used it on the dailies outside. You saw that a few episodes ago when we were talking about flowering, and there's just some great products.
So I've got here Charge by Ecotribe.
Actually, you know what? My phone's just over there. Could do with a little bit of a charge.
No, get back here, Stephen. I'm talking about Charge. Charging up your plants with some bacteria. This is basically beetle frass, beetle poo. We've talked about it a lot on podcast. It's a very cheap product. This tub is £5. Top tip with this product is before you're putting your plants into your media is to mix this up into your media first, then put your plants in, and away you go. Or you can top dress, you can sprinkle some across the top of your plant and then water through.
And this is beneficial bacteria, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when we're top dressing, do we just sprinkle it on the top and then just water through with our nutrients?
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice and easy. Very cheap product.
And it works.
Yeah, works good.
What else have you got from Ecotribe over there? I can spy another product.
New product by Ecotribe called Biosis.
Yeah.
When I've been looking on the back of this product, there's lots of different ways in which you can use it. So it's like one of them products that you can use in lots of different ways.
Okay.
It's amazing. So rather than it just doing one little thing, you can use it in small plants as the plants grow up into mature life. There's different methods on how to use it. You can use it all the way through the life cycle. It's full of good bacteria and little critters. What you seem to love so much. This is how much?
That would be costing £50.
£50. So it can be a little bit expensive,
But it goes a long way.
but goes a long way.
Yeah, definitely. And we took that to Chelsea.
Yeah.
They were really impressed with it. And it's actually between the two products work really well. That's actually my favourite. It just does tremendous things to the plant pretty quick, so you can actually see the difference before your eyes within a few days.
So that's two products from Ecotribe. That's Biosis and Charge.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to finish up the microbes with Mammoth P.
Okay. Ooh.
Really interesting company.
Yeah.
One of the first companies to really heavily bring science. That's why I'm really passionate about this brand as well, because they're bringing science into the hydroponics industry. If you don't know about them, go and check them out. This particular product is phosphorus solubilizing bacteria. So where phosphorus can sometimes become locked up within the nutrients, these say 70% of the phosphorus, so also that PK you're giving your plants, 70% of that phosphorus is actually being locked up. What these little critters do is unlock it and make it available to the plants again.
This is also one of the products that can withstand a higher EC level.
Exactly.
Okay.
So these have been trained. These are like Olympic athletes. These can go into ECs of 2.2 and still work really efficiently.
Okay.
Quite expensive, so don't be put off by the price, because this bottle will actually treat about 3,000 litres. Yeah, 3,028 litres. So it goes a long way as well. Highly concentrated, great product, big fan of it, and all the instructions are on the back.
So there's a few
Microbes,
critters,
Yeah.
variety of different ones.
And before we wrap up, you've got a special bringing additive to work day.
Yes.
So let's have a look at those.
Okay, so I have got one of my old favourites, Evolution plant spray, and obviously our personal favourite is Nano silicon and Nano iron. Both powder. This is liquid. This is a foliar spray. You don't need to mix it. It's already prepared. You just twist the cap, spray. You can use this on small clones, mature plants in the vegetative period, and it's a really good product.
Really greens it up nice, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Makes it nice and lush and green.
Cheap as well. That bottle will come to you at about £12 RRP.
Yeah.
So it's not going to break the bank.
Yeah.
And the refills, the litre refills that you can get are not much more expensive.
Yeah. Also, we've got nano silicon and nano iron. Now, these are a lot more expensive. So we showed you the bottom range one, and now we're going to show you the top end. This will be £75 each box. The silicon is like a protective shield. What's going to basically protect your plants from pest, disease, any nasty bacteria, anything that you don't want. That's going to really help you out. It's also going to help you increase the uptake of your plant and make your plant really healthy, and you're going to use that from the start to the finish. Then we've also got the nano iron, which is going to make your plants accelerate. It's going to make them really step out of their comfort zone and enhance in every way, shape or form, visibly and physically. They're going to start eating and drinking a lot more, and you're going to become a lot more attentive to your plants because they're going to require a lot more attention.
Yeah, like we said at the beginning, and it's just come to me now actually, something for the future of hydroponics and mineral and organic growth is that we use salts in liquids, and sometimes we use powder feeds as well. This nano is a powder feed. I think the future for hydroponic growth in terms of mineral nutrients and organic nutrients is finding out ways of unlocking these nutrients, because what we're given to the plants isn't always accessible. So we're giving them a plate of food and we might be giving them chopsticks to eat it with.
Yeah.
So I think the future and what technology and what scientists need to do is unlock ways of the plant just having readily accessible to the plant food. Like the mammoth pea is making phosphorus highly accessible, nano iron and nano silica is making that highly accessible. I think the future is highly accessible nutrients, and that's my prediction for the future of hydroponics.
But everything all varies to your budget, what style and method you're growing to, and what you're aiming to achieve, whether it's flavour, texture, quality, quantity. All of this is part of the main equation of how you decide on what magic medicine, what you're going to put together to grow with. And it's down to you as a consumer. It's not down to us. We're just here in the shop and we'll help you along the way, but it's down to you to test things and review things and look at it and think, yeah, that worked for me, or that wasn't too good, or that was okay but it wasn't good enough on my budget, or it wasn't good enough for the quality or the quantity. Okay, so what stuff have you brought in?
Well, you mentioned flavour and aroma. I've got two great products.
Okay.
Terpinator from Rhizoflora. Now, Terpinator's been out a while, really increases the essential oil content of the plants.
Terpenes.
The terpenes, yeah.
Okay.
And this has got a little tiny, this has got, you'll notice 004, so it's got no nitrogen, no phosphorus, but a little bit of potassium, because this will help the plant push out of its terpenes. So, not something that I would use in flush, which brings me to my next product. Terpenes does a very similar job, but is completely organic and has no nutrients in it whatsoever. It's all based on essential oils. So if you wanted to flush with a product, or you didn't want to add any EC or ppm whatsoever, Terpines is you want. But Terpinator also works really well. It's just got a bit of an EC, so this is a product that you can use if you want to increase your potassium at any stage of the flowering cycle as well. Just great products, got science to back them up. I think Terpinator did some tests on mint plants and increased the menthol within that plant. And the Terpines, we've been doing tests, and actually we've noticed visibly increased on the secretions of the oils. Couldn't think of me word there.
So there's a lot of different products, isn't there, Stephen?
We've touched on like 1% of the products.
1% we touched on. So we didn't want to baffle you with 1,000,001 different products, because they're just out there available for you to do yourself. We've just showed you the variety of what is commonly bought and commonly used, and we've explained briefly little bits and bobs about them. I think the top tip is down to yourself to decide what's right for you and your plant.
Yeah, definitely. And my top tip would be, don't use everything. I mean, you could probably have a go at using the majority of what we've put on to the desk today, but it's about selection. What works for you, what works for your budget, what works on the type of plants that you're growing, and check your plants. Your plants will tell you what they're enjoying and what they're liking, and then check EC and check pH. Because before we sign off, I'm going to say pH and EC again, because it's that important. EC, the amount of food that you're giving your plants, please check it. It will prevent deficiencies and it will prevent over fertilisation as well.
And it'll save you money, because it'll tell you how much nutrient you're actually putting in, and a million times to one, you're always over fertilising, or you're putting too much, you're throwing your money away. It's wasting your money when you could still have some left in your bottle, so you don't have to go back to your shop and buy another bottle, because your EC stick, truncheon, beta, whatever you've got, is telling you exactly what you need.
Yeah, so you become more efficient with your nutrients.
Yeah, and your plant becomes more happy because it's actually getting what it requires.
When it wants it.
Yeah.
And on pH, the best way I can describe it is, a lot of people say, I don't pH and I've had great results. And it really annoys me, because you might have had great results for 10 years, but just for that 11th year, you might come across a problem. And guess what? It's a pH problem. So please start doing your pH. You don't have to buy the super expensive fancy pH meters if you don't want to. Have a little play with some litmus paper, which will give you a colour indication, or try out the 20 pound meters if you want to start getting into pH. But make sure when you're into pH, you've got to get the Blue Lab, because they're accurate, they work quickly, and they're going to last you as well.
Well, here's an argument for thought before we sign off. If you have been doing your pH, if you haven't been doing your pH for 10 years and everything's been really, really good, imagine what it'll be like if you do your pH.
That is a great point. I think we'll finish there.
Thanks.
Let's go back. I'm not going to say any more. Let's go back upstairs and sign off.
Bye-bye.
See you in a minute.
Well, we're at the end of episode 11, Nutrients and Additives. Hopefully you've learned a little bit about myself and Thomas's personal favourites, the additives that you can use to excel plant growth, and maybe you've seen some that you think you're going to try in the future.
You know what though, Steve? There was one that we didn't use, and it was here before, and it's not here now, and it was the Buddha's Tree Meta Boost. And you know what? Come to think about it, there's been a few things going missing lately, hasn't there? In fact, you know what? I've had enough of this. I want to find out what's going on. So I'm going to get to the bottom of this, Steve.
Calm down.
All right?
No, just calm down. Don't. Okay, next week, episode 12, 6 o'clock. Don't be late. I'm going to go and sort this out.